Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, subscribers, viewers, we are back. And if I didn't know better, I'd say you've been frozen since November, Sam. Please come to me. Look at that. There he is.
I'm here. I'm awake. I'm alive. I'm not frozen. It's no longer 2022. Drew, Happy New Year, mate. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you, Sam. Happy New Year, buddy. I say I know better. You and I both been incredibly busy. Did you have a good Christmas? Did you have a good Panto? Tell me more, my friend.
Well, so first of all, hello to everyone joining us. Thank you so much for coming back. If you are a long-time listener or watcher, and to anyone who's new, welcome to Drewling Samantics. I'm Sam. This is my wonderful podcasting partner, Drew, who,
hello.
I mean, I've barely spoken to for like 6, 7, 8 weeks because life has been mental, hence us taking a gap, as our regulars will know. But yes, to answer your question in the most convoluted back to front way possible, yes, mate, wonderful Christmas, brilliant Panto season. So much to tell because not only was I away doing Panto, but in between I managed to do some voiceover dubbing work, which I'll come to in a bit.
Oh,
but throwing it straight back at you, how was the grotto? How was Christmas period? Did you have a good time?
Incredibly hectic, like yourself. Full of Christmas spirit, because I mean, a departure for me this year. I did it a couple of years ago, but playing Santa in a grotto, which we, were instrumental in producing. So I was crammed full of Christmas spirit right up until Christmas Eve around about 5 or 6 o'clock, when we kind of like, and we can stop now and enjoy Christmas. But it was great fun, a real departure. There was some wonderful, interesting moments, lovely moments of enjoying ourselves. But we're going to go into more in a little bit more detail. But yeah, now we hit 2023. Series 7, mate.
Onward. How have we made it to Series 7? God only knows.
No idea.
And I want to very quickly jump back. You said, obviously, you finished on Christmas Eve, and then you were able to enjoy Christmas. Now, I suspect that is not strictly true, because I know that you, like myself, and like what seems like most of the population, particularly those involved in performance work over Christmas, you caught the dreaded lurgy, didn't you, mate? Not the lurgy that we've had discussed past years. This is just your bog standard, no scary word attached illness, basically, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I managed to get. I mean, I know you didn't manage to go. I won't say anymore. But I got to Christmas Eve, and our last performance was around. We finished around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was beginning to feel a bit croaky and I thought, oh, this is just tired. This is just me going, I finished.
Yeah.
But actually, within 24 hours, I had developed a wonderful cough, chest infection, colds, and feeling yuck.
Yeah.
And I know I know it's affected a lot of it. I think through sheer got to keep going bloody mindedness, I didn't get ill before. But it's that classic thing. As soon as you stop working, as you know, you go, I can relax now. And all those, antibodies, whatever, that you've kept you going suddenly disappears, and you suddenly
you
get ill.
Yeah.
But you weren't quite as lucky as me, were you, buddy?
So ironically, I think it's probably almost an identical story in that we got to Christmas Eve. We had 3 shows on Christmas Eve, so we finished fairly late. I think our last show was 6 o'clock, so we probably finished about 8:30.
You had 3 on Christmas Eve?
Yep. Yeah. 3 on Christmas Eve. However, for those other Panto doers out there, don't feel too much sympathy for me, because I did have Boxing Day off, which is almost unheard of. Panto, yeah. But yeah, so we finished Christmas Eve, and I'd felt pretty much fine up until then. We'd had a little bit of illness throughout the cast, nothing that had prevented us from doing anything or meant that anyone had to do anything different particularly. And then was home with parents and Sophie, my other half, over Christmas. Boxing Day felt like crap. Like genuinely felt awful. As you say, the sore throat, the coughing, the little bit of a temperature, and just feeling genuinely shit. So for the final week of performances, because we ran up to New Year's Eve, when we went back, we had 11 performances left to do, because we had 4 2-show days and another 3-show day, which I think was the 28th. We went back on the 27th, and 28th we had another 3-show. And I honestly can't tell you how I got through it, because I was not very well at all. I was taking every pill and potion I could get my hands on, all sorts of cold and flu and throat and God knows what else stuff to try and get me through it, and miraculously made it through. The rest of the cast, bar one, all got through, no problems whatsoever. One was very, very ill actually, and ended up having 1 day off, where one of our amazing dancers stepped up. I think he only found out on the morning that he had to step in and learn basically a part and extra dances and songs and stuff. Brilliant. And it's another massive hat tip to the understudies and the performers in the world who jump in last minute. And we've talked about them numerous times before, particularly when we started this podcast, because of lockdowns and because of the pandemic. So many people were getting ill that lots of understudies were working, and lots of people were jumping into roles that they didn't necessarily do once we were out of lockdowns and things, and we could actually perform again. It was still very prevalent. And that's not to say it isn't now, but obviously the world has kind of moved on and looks at it in a slightly different way. But I guess in a way we'd almost forgotten, like I almost inevitably get ill every time I do panto. And I think that most people feel something or have some sort of like niggly, because you're spending a whole month with very little time off, working immensely hard, long hours. You're normally away from home, so you haven't necessarily got the chance to make decent, healthy food all the time. And you're in this bubble of people where if someone gets something, it's more than likely that everyone's going to get it, because you're so immersed in this world. So I had a very tough final week. I mean, you potentially even hear it now. I've still got a little bit of a sore throat, which is making this year's self-tapes and other things slightly interesting so far. Yes. But no, so despite all that, an amazing panto run, 34 shows.
Wow.
In I think we did it in, is it 18 days? Something like that. No, less than that, 16 days, something like that. But yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. I had an absolute blast, and that was great. And at the same time, or on a couple of days off, I got contacted by a mutual friend of ours to basically do some voiceover. So Susie, if you are listening, thank you so much for getting in contact. But she got in contact with me and said, look, I'm working with this company who are looking for people to do some voiceover, but specifically dubbing. And it's not something I'd ever done before. I've done, as you have, ADR, where you redo your own voice over certain clips of film. Perhaps if the audio has failed, or perhaps if certain things need to be done differently, or it hasn't picked up for some reason. And I don't know, have you done animation stuff before? Have you ever done voiceover for animation?
I've done a tiny bit for animation, not as much as I'd like, but yeah, it is a particular discipline. Yeah.
So this was something that I'd sort of done before, but this in fact was dubbing a Ukrainian TV show into English for an American market. So
wow.
And it was intriguing, something that I'd never done before, and discovered that actually there's an incredible art to it, because it's not just a case of read the translation. You have to obviously get all the emotion in and what's going on in the scene and the movement, and if someone's eating or if someone's running, you've got those extra sort of breathless or noises or whatever. But equally, you're trying to make what you're saying fit to the shape of what they're saying. So quite often you will slightly adapt the words, or the production team will say to you, right, we're going to try this instead to make it fit better, or the timing of what you say. So a really, really intriguing but immensely enjoyable experience that was. And hopefully I'll be going back to do some more with them fairly soon.
Was this a piece of drama, or was it fiction, factual?
So this is dramatic. It's all about the. I'm not sure if I can say. I could probably say it's about the Cossacks. So it's set obviously hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
And it's all about battles and good versus bad and corrupt. And I played the bad guy, he's. I wonder if it'll ever come out over in the UK. I don't know, but if it does, he's a bit like a budget version of The Witcher. So he's always wearing like leather and armor and stuff, and he's got long white blonde hair. And he's quite sort of arrogant and stuff. But yeah, it was great fun. It was great fun. So there was a lot of sort of he's that villain, but the good-looking sort of arrogant villain that you love to hate, but actually there's a little bit of you that goes, oh yeah, he's the cool one.
Yeah.
So it was a really great role to play, and I did a few days on that redubbing, and I've done a couple of other characters for them as well, various accents and different things.
Right.
So really, really good fun. And for that to be going on at the same time as everything else during Panto, madness, but absolutely brilliant. So December has been mental, and there's been lots of work and illness and the amazing opportunity to see family and spend time with family and friends as well. And now it's January all of a sudden, and I don't know what's going on. It's life is mental. I wouldn't have it any other way, but it's like nothing slowed down, because normally you go, right, Panto's finished, bleh. Whereas actually I've got stuff coming out my ears still and lots going on. So really exciting year ahead. And I'm so glad for how it ended and what's coming forward as well. Just as you are, because I know you've got some exciting stuff coming up. Very
mean, thankfully, I'm shooting another Einstein commercial. Yes. So that's going to be lovely. So Christmas was bookended by that, because in the lead up, in the pre-production to the Grotto opening, as we were doing the get-in, I filmed a commercial, so that's out now, and then we got another one coming up next week. So yeah, I'm busy doing that, which is lovely. I'm really looking at it. But I mean, going back over what you said about Christmas being, it was really interesting for me, because and I did it a couple of years ago. I played Santa and dipped out of Panto, and this year was the same. I mean, we were invited to get in on the production side this time, as well as me playing Santa. So we had, as I mentioned, we had the build up pretty much from when we finished doing Halloween shows, and then we went into the build up to creating the grottos. If children are listening, that's not true. There's only one Santa. He moves about a lot, but we created the grottos. We had a fabulous team. I mean, we didn't get away without some illness. We had some illness, which is almost inevitable at that time of year, and working under under the circumstances that you are. Everyone together, lots and lots of shows. I mean, we did, 23, 24 days of shows, long days as they always are. And, suffice it to say, the weather was cold, and we are working, not necessarily outside, but pretty much on the borders of working outside. And some of our elves, because there was an outside experience, beautiful lights and laser and stuff for children and families to do outside after they visited Santa. We had some elves working outside, some cast members. So bless their hearts, they fought on brilliantly.
Equally, I mean, I didn't really think about it when I was sort of doing the rundown a minute ago, but travel as well. Like, obviously, we're well aware that there are a lot of strikes on at the moment, and public transport wasn't particularly friendly, but then you add into that the terrifically cold weather. I mean, at one point, my car told me it was minus 12 degrees at my flat, like when I was leaving my flat. I've never seen negative double figures in the UK, as far as I'm aware, or anywhere, in fact, personally. But yeah, so that probably contributed equally, that people couldn't necessarily drive to places because the roads were dangerous. The public transport wasn't working as
brilliant
regularly as it was. and then illness. So I think all productions probably had some struggles to overcome. But yeah, sorry, interrupted you. Please.
No. I mean, we're lucky that most of our cast were staying locally, because we couldn't risk, we were starting shows at 9 o'clock in the morning. We couldn't risk there not being a Santa or a Mrs. Claus or elves too. So pretty much everyone was local or within a good driving distance. That was kind of what we had to maintain that. And we had people covering each other. So, we had, if Mrs. Claus was poorly or an elf was poorly or whatever, we could switch them around very quickly. And we had a couple of occasions where, we were hit by the dreaded lurgy, not the unwelcome guest, thankfully, but, and we swap people around. And I mean, we were lucky. We did a really good casting, session before putting the shows together, and we had some fabulous actors. And they were really supportive. Some of them worked through illness. They went, now I carry on working, and they were great. So, I mean, all our people, if you're listening, guys, thank you, because you're absolutely brilliant this year. Superb. I mean, we had some.
Mate. Actually, let's extend that. Let's extend that to every single performer who got through Christmas and made Christmas. Last year, we mentioned that as much as it was Christmas and it was still enjoyable, the unwelcome guest was very much still overhanging. And yeah. I think that limited a lot of people's enjoyment, in that a lot of families perhaps didn't feel as safe, so maybe didn't do their traditional trip to Panto or trip to a grotto. So I think the end of 2022 definitely saw a resurgence and kind of almost we're back, we're doing this properly. And that was made possible, and this isn't blowing my own trumpet, it's generically speaking, was made possible by performers countrywide who may have got through illness or may have got through travel issues or whatever, but in order to make sure that Christmas went ahead, shall we say. And yeah, don't get me wrong, we were paid, or the majority of actors were paid to do it, but it goes beyond that. There is a love for your job and wanting to get things done and done right. So I think it's well done to everyone involved across the board.
It's interesting you mentioned that how Panto, we know Panto's tradition, but I was talking, with families was saying, we come to the grotto every year and have done for many years. There were some children that started at 2 or 3 and they're now sort of getting to the age where they're going, yeah, Santa, like at 10 or 12, whatever. But it has become a family tradition to go and see Santa, to visit Santa, have a chat and, find out, Santa, what they want this year for their presents and everything. And it's nice to know Lego is still popular. Phil, who was on last season, yes, it's okay. They're still asking for it, but it's incredible that tradition of seeing. I mean, I know when I was a child, seeing Santa was a bit of a novelty, but now it has become for many people a part of their Christmas. So it was beholden on us to keep going and not, if a child was going to see Santa and suddenly Santa wasn't there because, he got a cough, that can't happen. He's magic. He's like Rudolph. He's got, he's magical. So it was really rewarding to do. Yes, I would do it again. I have to say, arriving at the grotto at 8 o'clock in the morning to start the setup for the shows and seeing it 6 inches under snow with the lights on and with it, there was a moment of like, that is magical and beautiful. Amazing. So, and I just tip my hat to everyone that worked at the old watermill in Bartley this year. Santa's Grotto was fab. Well done, guys. It was, for me, a brilliant way of ending, 2022. This year, not in Panto, but as the man in red,
There you go.
It was a lovely way of ending the year. It was beautiful.
Great end to the year. And I suppose then we better raise mine's a glass. I'm on the beers. You're probably on tea again, I'm guessing.
I'm in but the official Drewling Samantics mug.
Of course. Of course, yes. So raising to an amazing end to 2022. 2022. Cheers everyone that managed to make it as such. Yes.
So fantastic. 2023 beckons. We're
It does.
a few days in now. Have you made any New Year's resolutions? Have you got any looking forward through the year? What are you going to do? How are you going to,
It's an interesting one. And I sense that you're asking not necessarily from a traditional point of view.
No.
I've never been big on sort of New Year's resolutions. I mean, why do you have to wait for the start of the year to do anything different? But equally, I actually have. Yes, I think I've decided that this year perhaps I want to push myself into other areas or kind of embrace and keep the variety of work that I've been doing, but perhaps expand on it a bit. So I'm very much looking at updating things like headshots and show reels and mainly kind of going, right, I've done a bit of this. Why have I not done more of it? So, excuse me. I want to go, well, I've done a little bit of that before, but there's no reason I shouldn't be doing that regularly or shouldn't be going for those kind of roles or those kind of jobs. So this year for me is very much a seize the day sort of year. Not that it ever hasn't been before, but I think no better time than now to go, right, let's make sure that I really kind of go after everything and make the most of what's to come. What about yourself?
Similar. I've never been able to keep New Year's resolutions. When I was a smoker, it's like I'm going to stop smoking. I never did. I'm going to eat more, run more, eat less, exercise, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I was really bad at those because I like you. It's like, well, why now? Why start? What's so different about this Monday to any other Monday or whatever? But professionally, I think I look back. Because you do look back over the year, if you're, Panto or whatever, it does sort of like the full stop on a performer's year almost. And you do look back and then you do look forward. And then there's always that little lull in January where there isn't as much work around or, because people are just coming out of it and beginning to plan spring seasons or whatever. So I think I think it's a good time to go, I definitely want to get new headshots. And I think it's just, for me, carrying on what I did last year, which was a little bit more filming work, a little bit more. I mean, the adverts have been lovely, but just to build the character work that I did last year is kind of basically. I mean, I am of an age. Careful what you say, but and it's using that. I think last year I went, I like this. I like where I am professionally and what I'm selling. So it's actually doing more of that this year and springboard off and selling, like you say, why haven't I done more of that? So promote, I think, is a little bit of a bit more self-promotion and a bit more going for it kind of thing. So
and I think actually that then translates a little bit into podcasting and into Drewling Samantics. So we have got some very exciting guests planned for this season. And equally, we've got a lot of things that we want to chat about. We're always saying we want to get out and about a bit more and bring some sort of, not necessarily behind the scenes, but sort of on the scenes stuff and explain what's going on. We're very aware, obviously, we are primarily a podcast, although we are on YouTube. So it's all about the audio, and we want that to come across very much. But equally, we've said, and we will do our best to make this happen this year, but not only do we have some amazing guests coming up, but we'd quite like to speak to our guests or to visit our guests, if at all possible, and kind of see them in their natural habitat, shall we say. I mean, we mentioned it before, but as much as it's lovely having everyone on Zoom, and that's probably how it will stay for most of the time, we'd also like to kind of get them in where they're working and what they're doing and kind of try and bring that atmosphere to the podcast as well. So I think it's not a resolution, but it's certainly a target or something that we want to try and do.
Yeah, it would be nice because we've had great guests on who've been in interesting locales, and all we've seen is, a studio or something over their shoulders or a dressing room or something. It would be lovely to get in those rooms and actually chat to them, as you say, in their natural habitats. It would be great fun to do. And I think as well, I'm looking forward to getting some more ideas, comments from our viewers and listeners. Let's, anywhere you would think you want us to go or do, be great to hear.
Of course.
Do more of that.
Yeah. I mean, last season, for example, the news articles and talking about things that are going on in the industry was immensely popular, and that was a suggestion from a couple of listeners actually, who had sort of said, this is great, but perhaps you could do some of this, or we could have a listen to, and that's gone down really well. So we will continue to focus on what sort of hot topics are going on in the industry across the board, and keeping up with all the developments in the real world, shall we say. And equally, as much as we can't necessarily say it's a popular element, but we also want to continue recognizing the sad losses in the industry and those people that have brought such amazing things to the performance world, and we want to continue celebrating them. I mean, last year alone, 2022, I wrote a few down just to remember. So you got the likes of Ray Liotta, James Caan, Angela Lansbury, Taylor Hawkins, Coolio, Robbie Coltrane, Olivia Newton-John, Anita Pointer, amazing people. Terry Hall. We lost some incredible talents from all areas of the industry, be that the production side, music, performance, acting, so many amazing people who are sorely missed. But equally, we want to mention them because we want them to be celebrated. We want to look back and go, look what these amazing people did. We should be grateful that we got to experience their talents. So that's another thing, that as much as we hope we never have to talk about anyone passing away in the industry, equally, anyone that sadly does, we want to celebrate them. So we'll continue to give recognition to those important people. I mean, we are very early in the year, but I'm sure, sadly, we've probably already had great.
Well, I mean, you mentioned, sorry, Sam. I mean, we lost the lovely Dennis Waterman last year, who was in a way back, I think it was early 80s, was in a series, Life and Loves of a She-Devil, which was written by Faye Weldon, who unfortunately passed away only this week, a couple of days ago. So we've lost, I mean, she was 91, an incredible writer. I mean, that was an incredible series that gave several people, their big breaks. And I mean, I think it was, what's her name? And I wrote it down, Julie T. Wallace. It was the actor Julie T. Wallace played the She-Devil in it. And an amazing career, amazing actress. And it was her springboard. So just someone like Faye Weldon, who launched a career, we've lost her. Let's hope we don't lose too many this year, but we can celebrate her as an amazing writer.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's, and also I'm looking ahead. I know the Stage are taking, they've started advertising their 100 most influential people in the business. Oh, wow. To include actors, creatives. So they've started to launch that. So I don't know if anybody in the business has voted or suggesting, but that has just come out. That's online if you want to look at that. You can see who they're suggesting. You can suggest things. So that's a good, that's a good way of looking forward in 2023. These 100 people that have had influence and will go on to influence. The work that's forthcoming this year. I mean, there's some great shows that are going to be opening in the West End, the things that we mentioned last year that are coming. So, yeah, I mean, we still mention the unwelcome guest occasionally. Ironically, this year it didn't feature so much in Panto Land and Christmas show land, but we were besieged by other little bugs and things, but we're gently pushing the unwelcome guest further away. So we've talked about this before, but theatre can look up and move on. The business can look up and move on, as you and I look up and move on. Absolutely. with Drewling Samantics.
Yeah, I mean, my personal target for this year is to be immensely busy on all fronts, and I want to be able to enjoy life as much as possible and enjoy my career at the same time, and hopefully the two will run alongside each other, and with the odd gem thrown in of a natter with you each week, and perhaps joined by someone almost as fun as we are. So
almost as fun as we are. That's setting the bar reasonably,
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. You don't need to specify. People can fill in the blanks there for themselves, whether they feel that is a high or low bar. But no, it first of all, mate, it's an absolute pleasure to be back with you. So thank you. And that is extended out to all our fantastic listeners and watchers. Whether this be your first Drewling Samantics experience, if so, let's hope it is the first of many. Equally, if it is your first now, please go back and listen to a lot of other stuff. We chatted about basically everything ever. So please do go and have a listen. Or if you are a long time listener, you'll know about the usual bollocks that we talk. And if you're still here, then you obviously enjoy it as much as we do.
Selling it really well, Sam. Selling it really well.
Yeah. Mate, what a week, half an hour in, something like that. If they've got this far, then they're stuck now.
Yeah.
We are addictive because you never know what we're going to say next. Which is interesting because we don't know what we're going to say next either.
Not a clue, mate. Not a clue.
But no, it's an absolute joy to be back here on Drewling Samantics with you. I'm very excited for what season 7 holds coming forward. And yeah, I just cannot wait to see how 2023 shapes, both on a personal level and a work level, and equally on a Drewling Samantics level. So, Mr. Pettis, I shall raise my glass to you, sir.
I shall raise my tea to you, sir.
Yeah, raise our faces.
The official Drewling Samantics mug.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, while I remember, merch is available. Just get in contact if you fancy something with our ugly mugs on. A mug with our ugly mugs.
A mug with the mugs.
Mugception. But yeah, if you've got any comments or any feedback or anything you want to talk about, please do let us know. Get in contact on all the social media as per usual, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and obviously we're on YouTube as well. If you're watching, if you're not watching and do want to see what these two idiots look like in real life, then do jump on YouTube. But aside from that, please stick with us. We've got some amazing stuff coming up. Very excited to be back. It feels like we never went anywhere, Drew.
Yeah, I know. It's but we did this time, and we are back. Yeah, we're back.
Back with a vengeance.
Back with a vengeance.
Drooling hard with a... No, I'm going to stop it.
Leave it, mate. Leave it.
Until next week, mate. Have a cracker, and I'll see you soon.
And you, Sam. Take it easy, buddy.
See you later.
Cheers now.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.